Hello, good day. I'll be reporting to you about the case studies on programs and projects management and evaluation system in Mindanao area experiences. Once again, my name is Rodel H. Katuba, your discussant for today, and here are some of the case studies I have found from the journals, from the books, and of course from the internet. So let us start, of course, by this case study number one, which is the Mindanao e-learning space quality management system, or it is so-called an effective approach to e-learning, a case study of the Mindanao e-learning space approach to quality. This was actually written by Gilbert Importante, by Gladys Florangel Ortiz, Anslin Condrad Gamalong, and Danilo Galarion of 2014. So what is it all about? It's this Mindanao e-learning space quality management system is actually an organization offering flexible distance education to public school teachers and of course administrators in the form of e-learning. It examines how the Mindanao e-learning space, or MySpace, consortium has developed and implemented a quality management system, or what we so-called QMS, to support continuous improvement in meeting the learning needs of the Department of Education. It begins by providing a brief background on the establishment of Mindanao e-learning space and impetus for change. So we all know that this time we are actually battling against this having paperless works, sometimes. And here in my school, in Yolambuna Integrated School, we are actually doing this by at least having this kind of system also. So it is also relevant to this kind of a case study which talks about e-learning. So here, some of the teachers are actually enrolled to e-learning, such as the Guru 21, and they enrolled in this kind of program where they could actually learn through the use of their laptops or desktop for as long as they are connected to the internet. So by this way, we could probably learn, even though we don't have this much paper or works to do, but only seeing each other on cam, or saying or sharing your thoughts through just chatting, on using the laptop. So this kind of case study would like to conclude that the QMS, or the quality management system, serves to guide management. It really guides management, instructional designers, web developers, graphic designers as well, testers and trainers in the development and delivery of quality service that meets the needs of the customers. So it is really concluded that it is really useful and very timely nowadays that the South Cotabato Division, or even other divisions, would like to promote this kind of approach, wherein we are submitting documents through online, through a system. We are being discouraged to submit more of papers or documents, though sometimes, of course, this point of time we still need documents because these are concrete evidence sometimes if you're going to send or submit reports. But at this case study would like to suggest, or to of course conclude that it really gives us this kind of it really serves to guide management. Especially for the instructional designers. Instructional designers, just like the teachers, they are the designers themselves. Teachers are the designers of their own instruction. So for them to have at least an interactive, because we have actually 21st century learners this time, so most especially in our junior high school and even in senior high school, we have some students who are very fond of using laptops, internet of course, and they are teachers are actually expected to expect their students to submit their reports, to submit their assignments through online. So that's that's the good thing here. That's the good thing about e-learning, because this time, even if the teacher is not around or the students are just at home, teachers could actually give some instructions. Teachers could teach the students about the topic that is being missed by the student, or if the teacher is not around, if the teacher is having a training, outside the station. So the teacher can have at least this kind of e-learning with his or her students. So what's the relevance of this? What's the implication of this? Well, it would not consume so much time, of course. Because of this e-learning, it would reduce the time that the students could spend in doing paperworks. But this time, they could actually minimize their time by simply submitting the reports online, without hassle at all. Money, of course, with a lot of papers that we need to do, of course, that requires also a lot of money. Unlike this time that there is available internet connection at home and even in school, they can submit their requirements on time also. Energy, much more. And it is relevant to today's call due to the advancement of technology, because we all know the fact that most of our students nowadays are really technologically savvy, meaning to say they are really into technology. They are really into the use of the advancement of technology. And of course, that its goal on reducing paperwork and reports through time on task. So again, this is one of the case studies I have found, the e-learning space quality management system here in Mindanao. It is an effective approach to e-learning. It is a case study of the Mindanao e-learning space approach to quality education. So here's the next case study that I have found. It's the public funds. So we're not talking about the public funds. So if we talk about funds, we talk about the maintenance and other operating expenses, or the MOE. So here, I have found a case study talking about the public funds from the case study of Surigao del Sur State University, Philippines. So what is it all about? By the way, this was written by Camilo D. Malong Jr. and Josephine M. De La Cruz of 2015. This study, or this case study, determined the utilization of the fund used on income-generating projects. So this time it's the IGP, the Income Generating Project Fund of the Surigao del Sur State University, Tandag Campus, relating the fiscal governance in improvement of the quality of education. The method that this case study used, it employed both quantitative and qualitative methods. Hence, the concern is the documents in the case of content analysis and talking with university personnel with direct access and control of projects in the case of interviews. Interviews, that's the method that they use. So also the research utilized documentary analysis using the financial trend analysis. So here comes the quantitative. The qualitative as the interview and the quantitative as the documentary analysis. What was the result? So among the three functions of the university, the highly utilized in utilizing the funds to support the programs is the instruction. So here, the IGP, or the income generating projects, was highly utilized to support the programs under instruction, not so much with the research and extension and development, extension development. So through this IGP, income generating project, it really helps through the help. It would actually serve as a guide or a help or a support for the teachers to provide what it is really meant to be provided for our students. So here, the IGP is used to provide and support the learner's needs, especially inside of the classroom. So the areas of concern about this case study: less allocation of sport facilities, less allocation for research journal publication, and less allocation for entrepreneurial engagement. So these are the areas of concern which was being found out after this case study. They have given so much for what is so-called instruction, but they have lack of support for the sports facilities. So perhaps that would be their next direction. Another is for the research journal publication. They don't dwell so much or focus so much on research or the evidence-based approach way of programs in their school. less allocation also to entrepreneurial engagement. So what does it imply? This kind of case study is meaning to say it gives us an ample idea that fund really works. No? It is really a need in a school to have a fund. That's why MOE is being allocated for all the stations, for all the schools in the entire Philippines. So the adequate funding must be available to support the operation of the University of Surigao del Sur State University, Philippines. So meaning to say, as what I have said, any fund, IGP, or support from the interested parties or stakeholders from the MOE for the public schools, these are really needed, needed to support both the instruction, both the management system of the school, and also for others that just what I have made mention, the areas of concern. So these are really important. Especially in research, as well as its other functions in support, must be consistent and long-term. So again and again, fund, whatever the fund is, it is really needed in a school for the operations to be really achieved and attained. So here is another case study. So it's actually the indigenous people's education in the Philippines, the Tiboli in Lake Cebu. So it's specifically in Lake Cebu, the Tiboli. So Tiboli, the people in Lake Cebu. So it was written by Cecilia Soriano and Chona Sandoval of the year 2007. So what is it? This kind of case study is, or it calls for the need of achieving the 6 internationally agreed upon EFA goals. A tenet of ENET's advocacy is increasing indigenous communities. Yes, we all know that there are lots of places nowadays which could be considered a place of indigenous people. So we need to reach them out. We need to give programs for them. The access to quality and culture-based education. So also it is due to the dearth of materials and disaggregated data that can establish an in-depth analysis and access to education for indigenous people. In here, yes, we have identified a lot of areas, especially here in Mindanao, that there are really places where indigenous people can be found, but there is this scarcity or insufficient fund for them, and that we actually allot small money to provide them of relevant materials that they could actually use, they could actually utilize. So what happened actually is that we have identified, but what is really the support that we are giving? Yes, the DepEd, the government is giving them what they need, but are they really being given of what they really need? So that's the question here. So the key findings about this case study, there is a lack of access to educational facilities. So that's another. There is lack of facilities for them. We have found out a lot of places in the Mindanao that there are really people, indigenous people, but we actually provided facilities, learning facilities for them, as well as lack of quality curriculum. There are indigenous people, of course, they also deserve to have teachers that could relate to their culture, teachers that could easily understand their culture. So but the problem nowadays is that there is a mismatch of culture to culture. There's actually a problem in there, a gap between the culture of these Tiboli people in Lake Cebu, that there are teachers who are actually not Tiboli themselves, but they are teaching Tiboli people. So here, there is another problem. There is a drawback. Because you cannot teach what you don't have. You need to say, the teacher must be very much equipped, very much knowledgeable of their culture before they are going to teach what they have to teach, what is expected from them. So also, for us to continue to thwart the achievement of the EFA goals, if not corrected. So see, we are actually battling against the goal of education for all of the EFA, the goal of EFA, that we are providing quality education to every individual, every individual here in the Philippines, especially here in Mindanao. But still, based on these case studies, it is being found out, no, that there are still communities having indigenous people having or lacking this kind of facilities, and also the mismatch of the teachers teaching them. So recommendations, there must be pro-poor policies in schools should be in place, including, of course, there is an urgent need for curriculum reform to ensure that curriculum can be tailored to the local context. Yes, it must be planned. It must be discussed by, of course, the designers, planners, curriculum planners and designers, that the curriculum for indigenous people must be really aligned to what they really need. Lastly, there must be an urgent action which is really needed to support the Mother Tongue Network. Mother Tongue Network, and ensure the passage of House Bill 3719 reflecting the need for multilingual instruction in schools and in literacy programs. And it is also concluded, and it is being implied that providing good quality education across the generations can combat the poverty and isolation. Yes, that's right. Education really helps us achieve our goals in life. And education really provides us this, of course, this path or direction that would lead us to success, of course. And here, we are combating, or we are fighting for equal opportunity for all people, especially the people here in Mindanao, indigenous people as well. Especially fighting or combating the poverty and isolation that has contributed to the marginalization of the Philippines indigenous communities. There must be interagency cooperation within Filipino government to ensure that policies are working in confluence to assist parents and children. So we need to have partnership with those interested parties willing to support, willing to provide the needs of our indigenous people, because there are, of course, interested individuals, private, even public employees and partners. They are very willing, these stakeholders are really willing to help our indigenous people, of course, to erase or to alleviate this kind of problem on isolation, with other indigenous communities. Another case study, number 4, which is on the educational leadership in the southern Philippines, the principal's perspective on problems and possibilities for change. It was written by Jeffrey S. Brooks and Ian E. Sutherland of 2014. So what is it? This study of school leaders in the southern Philippines explored principal perspectives and local dynamics that can facilitate and impede meaningful educational change. In particular, the research revealed that principals' ability to establish meaningful relationships with both school system and government officials was critical to facilitating positive change. Okay, it is being discussed that first, it seems important for school leaders to establish and maintain effective support networks. Yes, it is really needed, especially for the principals to ask support, because I always believe that no man is an island, that the principal is not an island that has to stay alone, that has to decide alone. It has to really find way to look for interested parties, to look for potential partners that could help support the operations of the school, and of course making the school on top, to the limelight. You have to really have the support of other people, especially your stakeholders. It is imperative that principals practice ethical and proactive leadership. When you say proactive leadership, it would really mean a lot, and it is really broad. No? It talks about how the principal would actually consider other people around them, that in the decision making, it is not just you or the principal alone that will decide, but it has to be consensus. It has to be agreed by the body. It has to be with of course the goal of school-based management, of course, the SBM. It has to be participated by other stakeholders, especially on the operations of the school. And third, At the district level, it could be fruitful to create support communication networks at the district level. There must be a resource centers in the district. Fourth, there are certain changes that could be implemented at all levels of the system in order to improve education in general and principal work in particular. So what does it imply? What's the conclusion? Principals are in vulnerable positions, and as a result, their careers are entirely dependent on political change. Well, talking about yes, they have to be very flexible. They have to be very dependent to who sits there and who manages the community. Because there is a different perspective here. Now, for example, the BLGU and the school, it has different perspective. So the principal must be proactive leader, must be proactive. So whoever sits as the barangay chairman, that principal has to, of course, has to maintain, maintain the relationship, with the barangay council. Of course, it's not that because you have this another person that you like, that you want to be the leader of the barangay, and then after the election, knowing that your bet is not actually the person who sits there, it's still a process of being proactive. It's still a process of being of accepting, accepting that the two of you, the barangay captain and of course the principal, must work together. It must work together because now the school is the window of success of the barangay. So the barangay will help the school, vis-a-vis the school will help the barangay as well. So in such a situation, students and educators suffer. Yes, that will happen if the principal will have this kind of mindset that she or he would not support the new leader of the barangay. So that's it. So having said that, there is always the possibility of positive change and hope for a better future. A leadership that is committed to promoting and rewarding ethical behavior can be established at the school district or division level with increased transparency and accountability. Still, we're talking about responsibility, we're talking about accountability, and it enters there. The relationship of course, the partners outside and the stakeholders inside, there must be an interaction. There must be a proactive leadership between them, and accountability must be always on top. The accountability of those public officials. Next, case study number 5. It is the case of unhappy teachers in Mindanao, Philippines. So here, it is actually a case study of Andrea Santiago of 2015. What is it all about? This case presents the staffing problem of Manuel Garcia, president of St. Catherine School, or SCS. He needed to incentivize quality teachers to stay with the school, but he faced 3 challenges. What are those? First, the school is located in a far-flung area. Second, the seat is depressed. Third, the school is dependent on tuition revenue, and collections barely cover school expenditures. Methodology of this case study. The researcher relied on primary data to write the case, although the chairman opted that the school name and all the character names must be disguised, must be, of course, hidden, and must be in confidential. Conclusion and implication of this study. This case can be used to reinforce lessons in the following courses at the undergrad or graduate level: human resource management, data-driven decision-making, financial resource management, educational policy, and even communication. Further, the case is suited for school administrators attending executive development programs. This case helps teachers turned administrators consider the financial implications of human resource management decisions, in this instance, salaries and benefits. We all know that this is a case study of a private school, wherein the school is really dependent to the enrollment, the number of the enrollees, and of course the support of the private stakeholders, private individuals. So in this case study, the president himself, Manuel Garcia, has to decide to what factors he needs to consider for him to of course be consistent on the deliverance of quality education for the students. And decision making of the president here is really in need, no? So these are just the case studies, 5 case studies that I have found in the journals, in the books in Mindanao area. So I hope myself could make a case study here in my own locality, so I could add on to some case studies here in Mindanao area. So I could also talk about what is going on in the field, especially in the education sector. So once again, this is Rodel H. Katuba, your discussant for the case studies or present existing case studies in Mindanao area about the management system and evaluation of programs in the Department of Education. So thank you, and mabuhay tayo lahat.